Welcome back to Chats and Recaps. As always, my name is Sammy.
And I'm Mimi.
And today we're doing a recap. Now let's get to recapping. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss an upload.
All right, so today we're digging into Ben Higgins' season, which was back in 2016 as part of our Bachelor Greatest Seasons Ever recap. And we're just going to go through the season, give you our thoughts and opinions and what we observed and how it made us feel. So first thing going into the season, one of the biggest things with Ben was that he was the Bachelor who, quote unquote, he always felt unlovable. And another big thing that his season was remembered for was that he told 2 women that he loved them, which is almost unheard of because usually they don't say it to even one person. So let's go ahead and dig into it, starting from the beginning.
Yes, let's go ahead and dig into that.
So, so in the beginning of the episode, they immediately started going into everyone's favorite, Olivia, and how she was pretty much throwing herself at him from the beginning, and that she left her quote-unquote amazing job in order to be there for Ben, which I felt like was probably a weird way to start a conversation of getting to know someone. And then what did you think on that? They kind of went over like the first exits of the limo, first impressions, and there were a lot, there were a lot of women on his season that ended up going on to be very well known and loved later on. And JoJo's one of them, Miss Unicorn.
Yeah, that's right. She was Miss Unicorn, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. Like, who would have thought that the girl stepping out of the limo in a unicorn head would go on to be a bachelorette? It's just crazy. Mm-hmm. Usually those are the weirdos that leave night one.
Exactly. But sometimes guys like it when they leave that memory.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
All right, so when the first group of girls came out, the ones that were mostly where the attention was most on was Amanda. I call her looking for next daddy for her kids. Jubilee, Army girl, Army veteran. Kudos to her. Mm-hmm. And thank you for serving. Lauren, wing girl, flight attendant. Gave him the wings. Kayla, the jumper, jumped on him. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because there was something that I noticed later on in the show about him. And I think she caused that. Olivia, when she first came out, she was kind of mousy and slouchy. I never, ever thought we would see so much from her later on. But we'll get to that. And then there was Megan, a cowgirl with the little pony. Oh, yeah. I thought the little pony was cute, but I just thought she was weird. Yeah. Then JoJo. She was the unicorn. And then the twins, Emily and Haley.
Yes.
The memorable twins that also went on to do other things and was on Paradise.
Yes.
Bachelor of Paradise twice.
Correct. They were on 2 seasons.
And then Mandy. I only remember her as being rude to other people and cutting in.
I think that was all they showed in the beginning of the episode. Yeah. And we didn't really get anything else from her.
And then another one who didn't last that long but said some memorable things was Jennifer. When she said, "We are in line." She said, "We are in line," looked at her boobs, and then other girls were saying how he's a specimen, he's a god, he's beautiful. I don't know. We'll see.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, she was talking to him. Jennifer. She had big boobs and a nice cleavage. And she was talking to him and she was like, "I feel like we're so in line." And then she looked down at her line of her boob. And then he looked down and I thought, wow, that's so awkward.
I know, right? Well, who was the one that walked up and asked him to close his eyes and then they gave him a kiss? That was Olivia, wasn't it?
That was, no. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Olivia.
Yeah, it was Olivia. She got the first kiss the first night.
Nah, I just wanted to be the first one.
Was it? Well, we'll go back into that, but I think it was somebody else, because when she gave him a kiss, she had dark hair and she was a little dark skinned. She gave him the kiss, and then when she took him to talk, that's when Olivia came over and said, right when she said, so I gave you a little tap on when I came off the limo, and now I want to give you a real kiss. Is that okay? And then he said, of course. And then here comes Olivia right before they were going to kiss, and she's like, can I steal you? Which she was very famous for.
Oh, I'm sorry. The person who gave the first kiss was Lace.
Yeah, that's her,
Lace
Lacey.
gave the first kiss. She told him to close his eyes, and then she gave him a kiss, and then she said because she wanted to be the first kiss.
Yes.
That's what it was.
And we're going to talk about her later.
Yeah, and then later she awkwardly asked him for a second kiss and just stared at his
And that's when
lips.
Olivia came in and took him.
Yeah, that's what happened. And then from there, it was downhill.
Oh, yes.
With Lace. But they didn't go into her. Then they went into, from night one to the memorable things that happened night one. Mm-hmm. And then they went right into Kayla's date with Ben, the one with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube.
Yes, that was Kaylee.
That was like the most epic date ever. I would have loved to be in that car because Kevin Hart and Ice Cube are so hilarious. I was dying when they were in the hot tub and they were talking, and then he's just like, oh, just don't act like we're here, as they're just sitting in the corner. And then when he got up, they put the little bar over him as if he was naked. I don't think he was. I think they did it to be funny. But
I know, but still,
it was hilarious.
He's hilarious. I love Kevin Hart, let me tell you.
They were asking him and Ice Cube a question. I think it was like something about what's the most romantic thing you've done or something like that.
And Ice Cube said, I married a woman.
And Kevin Hart said that he cooked fried chicken in a crock pot.
Yeah. And he was like, that's not what they're asking. They're not asking what you cooked.
I thought that was hilarious.
But they're both hilarious. And together, oh my gosh.
I was just cracking up the whole time.
Yeah. I love both of them. They're both funny.
Yes.
I've been listening to Ice Cube ever since he was rapping, and then ever since Kevin Hart was doing comedy, I've been I'm their biggest fans. So
but he did that. My mama told me to tell you.
He's funny, and I'm glad he was on there. I don't even remember him being on there when I first saw his season.
I was like, how do I not remember this?
I know,
this is hilarious.
They were hilarious.
So after the date, then they went into a little bit with Emily and Haley. And to me, I just feel like that's weird. Two twins dating the same guy. I was like, not creepy at all, but in a way, kind of creepy.
Yeah, I don't know. Twins coming in on a show, trying to romance the same guy. That's
kind of weird.
I didn't think that was going to ever work out anyway.
Yeah,
they're better for Bachelor of Paradise because there's more out there and they can, pick who they want to go after. But to be after one guy,
I agree. And they went from Emily and Haley, then they kind of went back to Olivia doing some more annoying things, kind of how she was aggravating all the girls in the house and stealing people's time. And I just wrote the main thing I remember, because I watched the season in the past when it first aired. I just remember that I was really annoyed by her. I didn't remember why. And I really didn't. I don't remember why. I just remember when I saw her, I was like, oh, that's Olivia. I remember her being really annoying during the season.
She was.
But they did a really condensed version of her whole time during the show, so you didn't have time to get adequately annoyed. So if you didn't see the season the first time, then you got lucky.
Yeah, true.
And then they go into Jubilee, and I remember watching Jubilee and Ben's relationship. There was a little bit more that they didn't go into about why she ended up going home, but I remember I actually rooted really hard for her, and I loved her, and I really loved her story when she was sitting down at dinner and she was, telling him her life story. And I thought that was incredible. First of all, that, she came out of that life that she said she was the only one left in her family, and I just can't imagine what that would be like.
Okay, so I had a little bit of mixed emotions when she started that story, because she just came out and said, I'm the last survivor of my family. And I thought, what did you do? Kill them? Did you see Ben's face? It looked like he got scared for a second. And then he was like, well, wow. Like, and then she's like, well, everyone in my family passed away except me. So I'm the only survivor.
I don't remember the conversation going down that way. I remember her saying, because something that you missed, because again, everything was so condensed, was that they had like a lot of fun together. They had a really fun, like exciting, playful relationship. But one of her big things was that she didn't really have any of those deep conversations, and it was hard to get below the surface of who she was. So this was a one-on-one date that they had. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Ben may have mentioned earlier that he felt like she needed to open up to him more. So that was when they were like in the dinner. She said she was gonna explain to him, why she doesn't really open up, and kind of a little bit about her past. And then that's when she started going into, that she's the last survivor of her family, growing up in an orphanage, and a little bit more into her story. And then it was like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense why you might have walls up and not want to get close to people.
Yeah, she said she had a fear of rejection because of her life growing up in foster care. And then she was the only survivor, and she felt guilt because she was the only survivor. But I gave her a lot of kudos. At 18, she went into the Army. She's an Army veteran. She overcame all those obstacles, and she's a great person now. Like, I applaud her. Other kids would have turned the other way, been on drugs, lost, dead, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
But she didn't.
I remember when it got to like this point in the show, and then when she left, I had like wanted her to be the Bachelorette.
Yeah.
But we're going to go on to some other things that happened, because that's when they wrapped up her portion. They didn't really show the breakup between her and Ben.
All right, so did you think it was weird she had a hot dog obsession? When she said her obsession for hot dog, I just laughed.
Oh,
I was like, that is so weird to say. And the way he looked at her when she said it, like, really? And then he's like, hot dogs, okay.
I didn't think of that before.
Oh my gosh. And when they were playing, and she was like, she said, let me see, where did I write this? She said, don't try me, white boy.
I didn't put a lot of thought into when she said her favorite food was hot dogs.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's not that weird, People like all kinds of weird stuff. Some people
she
walk
said,
around with like...
I love hot dogs. I have an obsession for hot dogs. And then she took a bite of her food, and he just looked at her so weird, and he's like, okay.
That went like right over my head, because I just realized that could have been like a sexual innuendo, and I didn't even notice
That's why his expression, so funny.
Maybe I just think too innocently.
No, I know exactly what she meant.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you had about Jubilee?
No, I really liked her. I really did. I wish she could have stayed on longer, because I think they had a lot of chemistry together. But, it ended up where she had to leave. It just wasn't working out, so. But she would be a great Bachelorette.
I know. Well, who knows if she's even still single? She would have to still be single.
Well, if y'all listening, she would be a great candidate.
I know. I would actually really like to watch her.
Yeah.
And the next thing they went into, I notated that they did the date where they were with the swimming with the pigs.
Group date.
Yeah, with the pigs.
When she said, "Is that a pig?" I'm thinking,
yeah,
in the ocean.
Yeah, there's so many places you can go and swim with pigs, and I'm gonna go do that.
I don't remember seeing pigs in the episode.
They've done it.
I really don't.
I think they did it on Colton's season. They did a swimming with the pigs. I've just seen it like so many times. People
and
go
then
swimming.
Those pigs were like, "Get out of here! Get out of here! You're messing up! You're messing us up!" This
That
is
would be
our
so
beach.
cool, though. I've seen dates where they go and where they did the swimming with the fish. I mean, not swimming with the fish, swimming with the pigs. But like the pigs come out and they're really cute and they feed them and everything and they hang out with them and it looks like a lot of fun.
I just thought it was weird. One girl said, I didn't think I was going to be afraid of pigs, and now I am. Because the pigs were running after them and trying to attack them.
Probably because they thought they had food.
I don't know.
They're probably used to getting fed.
They were aggressive.
Yeah, usually people go and they feed them food. Like, it's a whole experience. So maybe they were like, where's our food? Where's our food?
I know. It was
maybe
weird,
they were
though.
hungry.
So then after that, we move on to Lace.
Oh, Lace. I remember the whole mess of when she was in The Bachelor and then Bachelor in Paradise. It was like mess after mess.
Yeah.
When she was talking about how she's like confident and she was like so much better looking than all the girls there and this and that. And then I said there's a difference between confidence and cockiness. And you're definitely riding the line of being cocky. But usually when people go around saying they're better than this person and that person and this person's no competition, and then like the next minute she's crying because he didn't make eye contact with her, it's like, okay, I think you're just really insecure.
Oh my gosh. I was like, when she said, can I talk to you? Excuse me. He was like, sure. You didn't look at me. And he said, I'm sorry. When you were handing out the roses, you didn't look at me. Not once did you even look at me. Not once did you even acknowledge me. He gave you a rose.
Right? I was like,
obviously, he looked at you. He gave you a rose.
Was he looking at somebody else when he gave you the rose?
I don't know.
Did we miss
something?
Anyway,
I did write Looney, maybe?
Yeah.
And she looked like she was drunk a lot.
Yeah, I was like, I think she is possibly incredibly intoxicated. Mm-hmm. And when she, like on night one, she's pulling him aside and complaining that he's not making eye contact with her. I said all of the producers' eyes lit up. They were like, yes, gold. We have the drama. Night one. Whoever picked her to be casted got a bonus that day.
And then, you know what kills me? When after they do all of that, they go back to him and then they say, can I talk to you again? Like she kept, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you? And then he would go and she's like, this is not me. Then who is it? Is there a twin that we didn't see?
I don't know.
The evil twin that comes out and acts jealous and crazy, and then the innocent one that comes crying like, I keep getting blamed by this other person that keeps coming out. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't get that.
I thought the only twins there were Haley. Maybe we were wrong.
To me, you act the way you act because that's who you truly are.
At the same time, though, even though all of that was crazy, I would lie if I said I didn't laugh a little bit at some of the commentations at some of the commentaries she was making. I mean, train wreck, but good TV.
Yes. And I love it when one of the girls said, 50 Shades of Crazy.
I know. I was like, yes, you said it. Yeah, so when they were showing Lace, it was a whole lot of back and forth. Like what she said, she'd be crazy. Then she'd pull him aside and apologize for being crazy. Then she would say, I'm not like this. And she was so up and down and back and forth. And then finally we got to the end where she pulled him aside and she said, look, this isn't me. That I guess like the situation is pulling the worst out of her. She needs to work on herself and her self-confidence and, loving herself before she can be with someone else. And that was the one part where I said, I can actually applaud you for this because instead of playing it all the way through and being kicked off, you realized, hey, there's something in myself. This isn't me. This environment isn't working for me. And she removed herself.
Yeah, I applauded her for that, for being honest with herself in that part. And then when Chris brought her on to see how she is doing today, she's way better today than she was then. So she's a much better person now, and I applaud her for that part. I'm glad she left and didn't keep with the drama.
And I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like a completely different person.
Yeah.
She looked amazing.
Yeah, she sure did.
So I'm happy for her.
And after he was finished talking to her, he said, "Oh, and Lace, I am making eye contact with you."
Oh my God, that was so funny.
I just started laughing. I said, "Oh my gosh,
Chris is a savage."
He is. And then we move on to Olivia.
Everyone's favorite. Yeah. Oh, wait, everyone's favorite reporter.
Yep. Big impression. When they was doing that experiment, he touched her boobs.
Oh my God. Yeah, and she was actually the one who got the first impression rose.
Mm-hmm. She sure did.
Of the season.
I actually thought she was going to make it towards the end.
So did I. I was like, oh my gosh, I think she can make like top 3. At least top 3.
Yes, I thought so too. I mean, he kept giving her those roses. Like every group day, he gave her a rose.
I know.
He was giving her a rose left and right. And I thought, wow, she's going to make it to the end until she started cracking.
Yeah. She let everything get to her.
Yeah.
And then, but there was the one portion where they showed the group date where she did like the showgirl dance.
Yes.
And that was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Especially how Ben looked at her. He didn't know what to. He didn't know what to do.
He's like I
don't know if this?
I don't know if I should kiss you or if I should hug you, but then in front of the other girls.
He gave her a pity hug. Come on.
Yeah, that was awkward.
She did that so awkward. First, she almost fell out the cake. Yeah. Then she was like slouching and come on, you're supposed to be confident, be up there. You're doing it for him, not anybody else.
Yeah. At least she was laughing the whole time.
And then she's like, "Bam, washa bam."
What is that?
Like I was a trainer, like bam, washa bam. I came out the cake and it was like bam, washa bam.
Bam, washa bam.
I was like, what the heck is bam, washa bam?
That was bam, washa bam. Does that mean bad or good?
I don't know. It was a horrible performance. Yeah.
Well, at least she did it. Mm-hmm. There's other girls who wouldn't even do it, so.
And wasn't that just so awkward? They're on this little private island. She tells him, "I'm in love with you," and he's like, "I'm not feeling it. Bye."
That was
took his rose and left, and she was just standing there. And then the water, brutal. The way it was going up in the air, like if it was fireworks or something, as her heart was just breaking. That was sad. She was just standing there. Like, why would they do that?
That was so brutal.
I didn't like that part. I mean, it was funny, but I didn't like it.
If I recall correctly, this breakup, when he went into that one-on-one date, it was because a lot of the girls in the house had kind of told him that she's not who he thinks she is. Yeah. So I think he went into that date with a lot of preconceived ideas of who she was, and the breakup was really cold. And he comes on later and he apologized for it, but it was really cold. And I remember watching it when it first aired, and it was like, if he had come up with that on his own, like as his own idea, it would have been fine. But from what I remember, it was heavily inspired by a lot of the women in the house.
That is true. I think if it wasn't, she would have probably made it towards the end.
Yeah, I think so.
But when they showed her how she was today, I felt like she's still carrying a little bit of that bitterness from then. She says she's moving on. But every time she talks about it, she got a little emotional. So yeah. I know that's not moving on. And, and what Ben did, I mean, is 4 years late, but he says sorry. So
yeah, better late than never. Yeah. I think the part that she got the most emotional about, and I can understand where she comes from with it, is that, and I remember at that time she was getting a lot of grief, not just on how she acted on the show, but people were like picking her apart, like her appearance, and saying all kinds of nasty things to her. So, I mean, anyone can say that stuff doesn't bother you, but it does. When you keep hearing it over and over and over and from like many people, that's just... You try not to let it stick to you, but sometimes you still hear it in the back of your head. And I feel like she's still healing from that.
Oh, of course. If I'm not mistaken, she says she had to do therapy because, it wasn't so much on being the Bachelor, it was just the backlash of people, how they talked about her behind her back, and which, you know, to be honest, 90% of the people are not truthful anyway. They're always talking behind your back. It's like 1 out of 10 tells it like it is, or if they have something to say, they say it to you. You know, majority, they like to talk behind people's backs, and then when they see them, oh, hi, how are you? Oh my gosh, you look so pretty today. And the minute she walks away, is like, what was she thinking? You know?
Yeah. There was one thing she said in particular. She said, when people make comments and judgments on, you know, on a way that you're acting, you know, that's something that you can fix, that you can change within yourself. So she can understand, you know, some of the stuff she's heard about, like the way she acted. And she said, you know, some of the things she did were rude, and she regrets that she made people feel certain ways. Yeah, but the part that becomes a little bit unforgivable is when you move from attacking someone's character and how they're behaving, and you move to a person's appearance, which is something they cannot control. That's where the line has to be drawn. And I so wish that people would stop attacking people for the way that they look, as if they have any control over how they look. And everyone's beautiful in their own way.
That's right. That is very true.
And she actually is beautiful, and she looks
There's
looks amazing
wrong
now
with
too.
her.
I was like, what the heck? They keep checking in with people, and I was like, did everybody get some kind of like beauty makeover? Because everybody looks like models now.
Yeah. Well, it's the money.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. You know, you get money and you start doing stuff to yourself.
What the heck? And she says she has a podcast now as well, where she talks about all these things, and that how she's helped so many women. Yeah. And I thought that was amazing.
Yep. They talked about her mouth so much that she's actually using it in her podcast. Right? I thought that was great. And then when she said that she reached out to all the villains, and then it made me start thinking about what they said about the villains.
I know.
She said, us villains, we got to stick together.
Villains got a vill.
Yep. Oh, that's what it is. Villains got a villa.
Yeah,
I put villains got a villa.
That's what JJ and Clint were saying on the season that we just watched, Caitlin's season. They were like, villains got a vill.
Yes, she said she reached out to them. She's friends with a couple of them. So,
yeah, because the thing is, a lot of the villains that are villains on the show come off the show, and they do like all these amazing things, and people completely forget how they were portrayed on the show. And then some of the people that are portrayed to be like so amazing on the show come off, and they end up, you know, doing all these questionable things. So it's a show. You can only judge what you see, but you can't truly know the person
until you live with them.
That's true. And sometimes it takes a while for their true colors to show. Like sometimes someone tells you they're a germaphobe, and then you live with them and you realize they're not.
Really?
Anyways, so moving on. So Amanda's next. And my only notes about her were she was the single mom of the show, and that they broke up after hometowns. I didn't really have a lot of opinions on Amanda.
I did, actually. I applaud her. She's a beautiful young woman. She does have 2 little girls. I felt like being on the show, she should have never done that. I mean, there's other ways to look for someone in a different way. You don't leave your girls to go looking for the next husband or possible father to your children. That was one of my main pet peeve. Like, I think she should have handled that differently. She should have never been on the air, because those 2 little girls are going to see all of that later on. So that was my pet peeve. She's a nice person. I didn't like the idea she was on The Bachelorette. I applaud her for moving on with her life. I mean, she was on The Bachelor, and then she was on Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes.
And I felt those 2 times she left her girls home to go look for a man. And that's where I felt, you know, kind of objective a little bit on that, because I think there's other ways to do that without having to be on a TV show, displaying yourself the way she did both times. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. There actually was a a previous bachelorette that was also a single mom. I don't remember her name. But she was on The Bachelor, then she went on to be the Bachelorette, and I don't remember her name. I don't know if it was Jessica or something like that. She was blonde. She was a single mom. She did both Bachelor.
How old was her kid?
Picked to be the Bachelorette. I don't know, but she was young, so I'm assuming her child was probably fairly young as well. Yeah, I don't really have much thoughts on that because I'm not a mom, so I don't know how I would feel.
And then to bring her kids on the show to meet him without even knowing if this was going to be the guy you were going to be with, or, you know, the guy that was going to choose you. Like, I would have never had him meet my kids. Not without knowing.
Yeah.
I understand if she was like the last two left and then brought in the kids for him to meet her, because now, you know, there's more of a chance this man is going to kneel and, you know, give me a ring. But at the level where she was at, I wouldn't have brought my kids in and introduced my kids to him.
What was that? That was Hometown, so that was the final four.
Yeah,
and then he broke up with her after the Hometown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right after being on the beach with the kids, and you know, so I don't know. I would have never done that, but they were so cute.
I know.
Her daughters were so adorable. They were so yummy. I just wanted to pinch those cheeks. They were so cute.
They were precious.
They were.
And she's gotten many things out of the show.
Yeah.
I know that I don't know what exactly she's been doing, but I know she's been doing things like sponsorships and things on social media. So she's kind of made like a living out of it. Good. And in a way, even though she might not have gotten a husband or anything, she still is getting a good income and supporting her children.
That's good. I think almost everybody who does anything on TV ends up walking away with something.
I mean, unless you somehow come off like extremely hated, and even then you still get attention.
Even then, please.
Yeah, even then you still get attention. So most people, I mean, if anything, they get out of it some sort of related career if they're interested.
Yeah. But I wish her luck and I wish her happiness. And, you know, sometimes you don't need a man to raise your kids. You can still be that mother and father to them. If the father's not there or if anything happened to the father. So you don't need a man to define who you are.
So the next thing they do is they dig into his relationship with Kayla.
Yep, Kayla.
And Kayla was one of my favorites.
Yeah, she was.
I just thought she was so fun. She's so full of life. And my only question is, how does she always manage to have completely perfect hair no matter what the situation? Seriously, her hair always looks like it's blown out. How?
I don't know. What's your secret, Kayla?
Seriously, what's your secret? She's probably going to say genetics.
Well, probably. I mean, her background. Forgot what she said her background was. They always got gray hair.
So with her and Ben, I wasn't that surprised when he broke up with her because I feel like they were more like fun, happy-go-lucky, but I didn't see a lot of growth in their relationship. It's like everything was just fun, happy-go-lucky, and that was pretty much it.
But then I didn't understand, if you can't completely fall in love with someone, then why are you there?
Well, she said she was afraid she couldn't completely fall in love with someone, and then later on in their relationship, she was able to open up to him and tell him that she did love him.
Yeah, but it was too late. By the time she did say, you know, I'm falling in love with you, it was too late because she shut him out. He was feeling her. Yeah. And then she shut him out when she said, you know, I can't completely fall in love with someone. It's like I have this issue. And then they go off their separate ways. So he starts focusing on other people.
That's
now,
true.
Then she comes back and she's like, oh, yeah, actually, you know, I am completely falling in love with you. Oh, well, it's too late. You shut me out.
Yeah. And then considering that one of his fears is that he feels he's unlovable, I'm sure that the last thing he wanted to hear was that he might be falling for someone who is not capable of fully falling in love, because then that would feed right into his fear of that he's unlovable. So I think that kind of started to deter him away from her as well.
Yeah, that's true. She's very pretty. She was very pageantry. I felt like she was very pageantry.
Yeah, she was. She looked like she could be Miss USA.
Yes, that's very true. That's exactly how I felt when I kept looking at her. It was like, she should be up there for like Miss Universe or Miss America.
Right? It was like, what's that song? Here she comes.
Here she comes, Miss America.
Yeah, I could see her. Mm-hmm. I could see her doing that. And then, so they ended up breaking up. She was in the top 3, and he told her basically he could not reciprocate the same feelings of love to her. And then she left and went home.
After she told him, when he said, well, I can't respond back, because obviously he's already in love with someone else.
Yeah.
And then she said, ugh, that's such a line.
Yeah, she said, I feel like that's a line, but yeah. She said, well, there's no point in me being here if you're not in love with me. Mm-hmm. Which is true. There is no point in being there if there's no love.
Did they spend the night together? Because I felt like they did. I don't remember.
I know for a fact this was final 3. Mm-hmm. And
they did have a room.
I don't remember if this was after Fantasy Suite or if it was before Fantasy Suite and he just didn't do a Fantasy Suite with her.
I know they were in the room together and there was the bed.
Let me check.
She said, oh, I could sleep next to him forever. And then I thought, it would be awkward if they did. And then the next day he's like, I'm not feeling what you're feeling. But I really felt for her. I felt kind of sorry for her.
Okay, so they did have a fantasy suite.
Yeah, so they did spend the night together. And then the next day to tell her that.
Correct.
I don't know. I felt for her.
Well, it's possible that they did the fantasy suite and talked and there was like no intimacy.
But when they did show her how she's doing today, you could tell she's way past and over all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, she looks good.
Obviously.
I was like, she could be the next Bachelorette.
Well, she's engaged.
I know.
But as you could tell, her hair was still as perfect as ever. Mm-hmm. And she looked very happy. And she said that now she is I believe she has a YouTube channel and she does social media, like
she does social
blogging,
media. She's a blogger. She moved to New York. She's a blogger, and that's where she met her fiance for now. I was just wondering, like, how old is her fiance? Because when he said, well, when I was younger, I saw the episodes, and I thought, when I was younger.
Right, I was like, what does he mean by younger? Are you, like 18?
How old
I'm confused.
You? Is she marrying a young boy?
What was his name?
I don't know.
I didn't write down his name.
I didn't either. But she's engaged to the right guy. She looks very happy.
Oh my gosh! Look,
but I feel like he's way younger than her.
Well, he gave off that vibe by saying, "When I was younger, I watched the season." I was like, "How young are you talking? You're talking about like 3 years ago?" Because, well, this was 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, how old were you 4 years ago?
18, and she was in her 20s.
Well, she was pretty young in the show. She was like 23, 24.
Right. So what was he, like 18?
He could be younger, like 20, 19. And consider that to be younger. I mean, when I talk about me being 21 and I'm 26, I say that was when I was younger.
I don't know.
And that's only 5 years ago. So I don't know. What's funny is I was trying to look up to see if I could find out who it is she's engaged to, and there's an article that says Bachelor Kayla reveals why she surprised Ben and the secret to her gorgeous hair.
That is so funny.
I know, right?
What is the secret to her gorgeous hair?
Hold on. Let me see.
It's funny that you're saying that. I want to know.
I know. It says she says that she blow dries her hair just with her fingers. She combs it through and then uses a 1-inch barrel curling iron. She just kind of curls it out for the most part. That's basically it. I do use Not Your Mother's dry finish spray, but that's before she curls her hair.
Not Your Mother's dry?
Yeah, okay. It's called Not Your Mother's dry shampoo. She sprays it on her hair and then she curls it.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me. That's how
That's how it looks.
She just got gray hair.
Yeah.
She's probably the kind that wakes up and her hair is like, oh my God, did you do all that to your hair? And she's like, no, I just woke up.
Probably.
So then they showed Dean and Caitlin.
Yes, they did a catch up with Dean and Kaylin.
The van life.
Yeah, that was the one that they were trying to lead us up to thinking that they were possibly engaged. I was like, I don't know.
They're not engaged. They're just wearing rings. They're domestic partners. The rings are symbols, but they're not married. They're just symbols to show how committed they are to their relationship. I thought that was still cool because they don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I look at him and he's such a hobo because he's like,
he said
I don't want any government to tell me who to be married to.
Right?
Like,
he said he doesn't want to get the government involved, and then Chris Harrison said that he's ordained, and then Dean said that he would be at the top of the list if he chooses to get the government involved.
To get the government involved, but that's never going to happen. It's going to just be a domestic partnership.
You never know.
What gets me with that is I know that you don't need a piece of paper to define your relationship, and that is so true. But you also got to remember, the more years you're together, the less she's going to be entitled to, depending on what state you're in. Like, you're not entitled to anything if you're not married. So that domestic partnership, a lot of states don't even recognize that. That's nothing. So when you love somebody, I understand a piece of paper is just a piece of paper, but that piece of paper is protecting that person as well if anything should happen to you. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So they do look happy together. I didn't think they were gonna work out, but
see, I told you
they're happy.
When they first got together in Bachelor in Paradise, you were like, "Oh, that's not gonna work," and I
thought, hello, he was living in a van, and then the way he thought about things, and but they look happy. They're traveling everywhere. Who wouldn't want that kind of life,
right? I said when they got together, I was like, I never would have thought of it, but they seem like a pretty good match. I mean, they make each other happy, and apparently she's the only girl that he has ever wanted to commit to. So that's saying something. That's saying a lot for him, because apparently he doesn't even want to commit to a place to live.
That's true.
So the fact that he's wearing a ring to ward off, as he said, to ward off women so that they know he's taken.
That's true.
That's a big thing for him. And that's why when you said, like, with the marriage, it's only a matter of time, I feel like, before you see that he actually engages her. Before he proposes to her. I think it'll happen.
Yeah, and I think the reason it will happen is, like I said, to protect her more. So that she's more taken care of.
I'm going to say it now. I'm going to call it now. I'm going to say 2 years. We see something saying they're engaged.
Yeah.
Either it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be either there's a thing that they're engaged, or it's going to come out that they eloped. Because they look like they would elope.
Yeah, they do. They look like they would go on a vacation somewhere and then come back married.
Right? I could see him.
Like, I could see him in, like, smoke tents with spiritual people around and beads and everything. And then next thing you know, they're married.
It gives me Daniel Bryan vibes.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to go. They're going to be on a trip. They're going to be climbing up a mountain. And then he's going to be like, he's going to think in his head, oh my God, I love this girl. Like, what am I waiting for? Why are we not getting married?
Let's take this jump.
And then he's going to find some twig, or not a twig, but he's going to find something on the ground that he can turn into a makeshift ring. He's going to propose to her at the top of a mountain with some, like, piece of grass. And she's going to be like, oh my gosh, yes. And then they're going to get eloped.
Yeah, that's just her
Why did I say
prediction.
Get eloped? They're going to elope. You don't get eloped, you elope. So that's my prediction. We'll see if it happens. I give 2 years.
And then, of course, they asked both of them. Well, they asked her, Caitlin. They said...
You can't hear that.
They said, any thoughts for the new Bachelorette? And Dean, of course, said, if a man living in a van comes as a bachelor for you, don't look away.
He's like,
give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Give him a chance.
It's true. You never know what you could be missing out on. Sometimes you have a laundry list of things you're looking for in a partner, and then you meet the perfect person that hits things that weren't on your list, but that you feel like should have been on your list. So you never know.
First off, I don't believe in a list. I don't believe in a list for a person. I believe in attraction, connection, friendship, love. I believe in that. I don't believe in no list, because having a list for somebody, you're limiting yourself on what you're missing out on, because you could be missing out on the love of your life following a list. Come on.
That's true.
Nobody's perfect.
Most people find the perfect partner once they eliminate their list.
That's right.
So that was the catch up on Kaylin and Dean. And then next they go into the love story between him and Lauren B. Yeah, so they go into the love story between him and Lauren B. And Lauren B always gave me the vibe of just like the girl next door. Like, she's just the incredibly sweet, quiet girl next door. Nothing really in particular like pops out to me regarding her, either good or bad. Just kind of girl next door vibes.
Yeah, she's just the girl next door. Pretty, plain next door, The girl that lives next door that all the kids on the block wants to go after and date and take to the movie, and she just goes to school and goes back home. The girl's next door.
Yep, I see that. And then, did you have anything else to say about like the love story they were portraying between him and Lauren? Other than I could tell that Ben was really into her.
No, yeah, he was really into her, and she was really into him. But I don't know. This is my opinion. Mm-hmm. But when Ben was like, "Jojo, I love you. Lauren, I'm so in love with you," and I'm thinking, and I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking, especially when he told Jojo, if this was another time, it would be different. What do you mean by, is this another time it would be different? Like what? You would keep both of them?
You just popped ahead
because
a whole bunch.
Like, it looks like he would have stood with both of them.
I don't know. But that does bring us into Enter JoJo and his relationship with JoJo, which was when I watched the show, that was my favorite part of the show, was seeing their relationship. Because first of all, I totally fell in love with JoJo. She had like this just infectious, really fun personality, like someone that you would want to be friends with, who you want to take out and, have fun and play games and go out and go to a club or go out to a bar and drink. Like, she just looks like she's down for everything. She's so funny. And she's still one of my faves out of all of the people in Bachelor Nation to this day.
Okay, first off, I just want to tell you something. You marry your best friend. You marry them. You don't let them walk away. You marry them. And sorry, Ben, but for me, she's the one who got away.
I agree.
She's the one who got away.
I 100 agree.
I think he regrets it. He doesn't say anything because she's moved on. She was the Bachelorette. She's happy because you know what they say. When you let go of something and you just let it go, what you lose is somebody else's treasure. Mm-hmm. So,
and that was the craziest ending ever, because I remember watching it and I felt so sure that he was going to pick her. Mm-hmm. I was like, there is no way that he cannot pick this girl. Like, he was glowing when he was around her. He would always have such a fun time with her. And like, when he told her that he loved her after she said that she loved him, her reaction was priceless.
I know, she was trembling.
Right?
And
there's something about her that is just like, when you watch her,
she's so natural.
She's so natural. So when she feels something, it's like you feel it with her.
Yeah, that's true. That is really, really true. She's one of the fewer people that I actually wanted to cry with her when he walked her to the limo. And I thought, when she got in the limo and that limo was going away, I thought he was going to turn around and run after that limo and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm making a mistake." And I think to this day, he regrets not running after that limo, because he made it very clear there was a lot of regrets. There was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of anger, and those things couldn't get past. And that's what broke up the relationship.
Yeah,
because there was just too much from that show that went on to his relationship, and that's why it didn't last. And I think big part of it was he regret letting her go.
I think so. Even there was a point where I believe I don't know if this was Fantasy Suites or this was like the last time they talked to each other before the proposal. Actually I think it was before their last date. He was talking to her and they had a moment where they went into the bathroom and spoke, but you could still hear the microphones, that they were still on camera. And she was having a conversation with him, like, what's going on? Why is this so difficult for him? And he said that he also loves her, but that he also loved Lauren. And then she asked him, did you tell her that? And he said, yes. And I was like, that was the most raw, real conversation that you could have.
That broke her heart.
Yeah, that was another thing. It was like, the whole time when he and Lauren were having conversations, everything was like about her, about how he felt about her. And I didn't see a lot of opportunities for like him to be vulnerable other than when he was talking about how he felt about her. But when he was with JoJo, it was like he was comfortable. He could be vulnerable. He could be open. He could be himself. He considered her like his best friend. She felt like he was her best friend. And I was just like, when he dumped her, I was as blindsided as JoJo, to be honest. And like you said, she's like the first person that I watched a breakup happen, and I actually felt like I wanted to cry with her too.
Yeah, I really felt bad for her.
Yeah, so did I. But at the same time, everything happens for a reason.
But at the same time, I feel great because her season was great. I loved her season. I loved hers. She met the man of her dreams, the man of her life, the man that she's gonna marry, and I can't wait to see the recap.
I know. I can't wait to see her and Jordan when they talk about how they are now. I love watching them together because they have a YouTube channel. They have like a TV show. She's a real estate agent. And so he also works with her and does like projects. They have this thing where they turn people's like homes in the back of their yard into rentable spaces and stuff like that. So I love watching them together. They're still like as cute and in love now, if not more, than they were when they got engaged on her season.
That is so true.
So I was like, well, he made a loss, but she gained so much.
Amen to that.
And one part that stuck with me when she was being sent home in the limo was when she said, even though he was breaking my heart, I still didn't want to see him cry.
Yep.
She almost made me cry when she said that. I was like, girl, stop. You're going to make me cry.
I know. That
Stop being so selfless.
That is true. And then here comes Lauren in the helicopter ride.
I had to make a note because you remember the last recap we did and you said, everyone's crying, but where are the tears?
Oh, yes.
Here are the tears.
Yes. They were saving it for
Those were
Ben
the
season.
tears. Yep. So many tears.
Oh, my gosh.
And when he was saying that, how he said bye to her and it didn't feel right, and then he said that she was like his best friend, and he said, when I'm having a bad day, who was there to sit right down next to me and tell me that you got this?
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you not just feel like you made a terrible mistake?
I know. And the thing is, when Lauren came down in a helicopter and then she went over to him and she was talking to him about, how she feels for him and how much she loves him, and she kind of knew from a while back that she was falling in love with him. The face that he put, I thought he was going to tell her, I don't feel that way for you. Like, what is it with that face that he puts? Like, he's going to disappoint somebody.
Yeah. Had he not called her parents to ask for, or called her dad to ask for his blessing, it might have been questionable whether or not he was going to actually propose, but he did. But I remember when I watched their proposal, I was like, something about this feels a little awkward. Like, it didn't feel quite right to me.
No, it didn't. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. He threw away. I mean, no offense to Lauren, because she's a nice person. And apparently she got married, or she's engaged.
She is married to Chris Lane.
Happy. She's very happy. So again, Ben's loss on both, and they're both happy. And I hope that he is engaged.
Yes. He is engaged to, I wrote down her name, Jessica Clark.
Yeah, Jessica Clark. And then when they showed her, and no offense, because JoJo is beautiful, and so is the girl that he's engaged to, but as soon as I saw her, she resembled JoJo a lot. And I'm thinking, is it because JoJo got away? I mean,
no,
I'm sorry. She resembled her a lot. Her character, a lot of her facial features, her hair. It was like she could be her sister.
Yeah. Well, to the defense on the hair, pretty much every girl that they interviewed had the same exact hairstyle. I'm not even kidding. They all have that curled, that like little curl to the side, slightly blow dried kind of hair look.
Yeah,
it's incredibly common today that most people have that hairstyle. I don't know, I guess it's popular. But to the credit, the hairstyle is probably just because everybody's doing it. Otherwise, I don't know, because I haven't seen her personality, and for me, the biggest attraction with JoJo was her personality.
Yes.
Like, obviously, she's beautiful, but then the personality is just like makes her the whole package.
The way he described her and talked about her, it was almost like mimicking JoJo. A lot of things, like the little tomboyish, and it's kind of like JoJo. Like he was like, she was my friend, and he kind of found. I can't say it's the same as JoJo because that was a whole different relationship, but he kind of found some of the qualities.
Yeah, I think that he realized that he should marry someone who's his best friend.
He said it. He said his decision wasn't a great decision.
No.
What was it that he let JoJo go? To me, that's...
I don't know if he was talking about it wasn't a great decision, like who he picked. I think he was talking about it wasn't a great decision to tell two women that he loved them.
Well, that could be it.
He said maybe it wasn't, but at the same time, that's how he felt. And so, it is what it is. It's water under the bridge.
That's true. They're supposed to be getting married in 2021. So it's giving them like a year of being engaged. They just got engaged in January. So I wish Ben and her a lot of luck. May they get married, and may their marriage lasts a long time, along with JoJo and Jordan and Lauren and her fiance or her husband.
Yes, definitely. And we're talking about the JoJo breakup, not trying to like dig on Ben or anything, because he looks like a really nice guy. He didn't have to come on and apologize to her, and he did, so that says a lot about his character.
Right.
And so obviously we wish him all the best. And he has a podcast too, actually.
Everybody has a podcast.
I know, everybody has a podcast. Just jump in the bandwagon. But yeah, he has a podcast with Ashley Ian Kennedy. Actually, no, she has a new last name. She got married. She was in the last recap episode, Ashley and Jared.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has a podcast with Ashley.
Really?
Yeah, I think they interview people. It's just all interviews of Bachelor people.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It's cool that, at least you get something good out of being a contestant on The Bachelor or Bachelorette, because a lot of them do go on to doing a lot of great things. Makes them more active, gets them out there, make income, great income.
Agreed.
So
that was pretty much the end of the episode. It wrapped up there. And then they only very briefly talked to JoJo, so we didn't really get a lot other than pretty much what she emphasized about how she felt in the breakup, and we kind of went over that. So there really wasn't any new information there, but we'll get a full update on her on the next episode because they're recapping her season.
I can't wait to see it.
I'm excited.
Me
I've
too.
actually wanted to watch her season back just because I wanted to relive all of the ridiculous Chad moments one more time.
Yes.
And yeah, so I'm excited.
Not trying to give glory to a villain, but Chad was my favorite.
Yeah, definitely not trying to. But milk's delicious.
Yeah, that's one of those famous last lines or famous last words.
That, and when he leaned back and said to Alex, "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed."
Yeah, I can't wait to see those recaps.
But the way he said it. Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to go back and then we'll get to recap that season on next week's episode.
Yes, we will. Just wanted to take a few moments here about our last segment and in fixing one of the little things on the keto diet.
Oh.
With the almond milk.
Yeah, so if you tuned into our podcast that was posted yesterday about our keto diet, there was one thing that was not accurate. And I made an error when I was speaking. And it was when I was talking about the protein content in almond milk, coconut milk, and soy milk versus regular milk. So almond milk, coconut milk, and soy milk do not contain more protein than regular milk. What they contain is more calcium. So that's what I meant to say.
Well, again, we're not professionals. It was just our research. This is just our journey that we're going through again. But we just wanted to clarify and make sure there was not a misunderstanding.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much for tuning in. You will hear from us again on Friday. We'll be posting another new episode, and this time we're going to be digging into the Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect.
It is going to be a great time. So if you're interested, make sure that you tune in and listen to all of the craziness that I'm sure is going to ensue.
Yes, thank you so much for listening.
And remember to wash your hands, sanitize, wear your face mask, and properly social distance in your car and when you are walking about.